hands your go, things can be better. And so begins a journey. From then on out. And we kept on going. In 1971, Hans-Jörg Gerber created the first Thermomix. If all we wanted was to make a food processor, we would have stopped long back. But we wanted to create an extraordinary experience, which is why we're still going. Then, now, always. Thermomix.
Okay. So, stop the video. Oh, hang on. No, not my video. Start my video. Oh, whoops. Sorry, I'm going to have to find that and stop it. Okay. Too many things open. So welcome everybody. I actually I didn't realise I'd picked the French version of that video, but I think it's really inspiring and it actually makes me very proud to be a Thermomix consultant. And I know the other girls on the team feel the same way. Thermomix has come a long way in 50 years. It's very exciting to be celebrating 50 years, and we just love that we're able to share it with you guys, even in lockdown. Okay, so. Just to start with, I'm Mandy, if you haven't met me before. I am the team leader for the multicultural mixers. We have people from lots of different countries in our team, and we all like having a bit of fun. We are always looking for people to join our team, and if you'd like to join us and have a bit of fun, learn about your Thermomix, earn a Thermomix, then please talk to your consultant, and we'd love to have you on board. Hi, Mandy. Hi, Carmel. There is a chat box down the bottom there, which you are very welcome to use. Before we go too much further, I just want to quickly show you, we have an offer on the current purchase offer. Oh, I've got to share my screen. I think I've got to share my screen for this as well. Bear with me whilst I try this. Yeah. Okay. This is the current purchase offer. Only valid until 11 o'clock on the 8th of June. So to me, I've been telling people, think Monday night, all right? So that is the current purchase offer. It is an incredible offer. For $99, you can get a second bowl and blade set for your TM6 when you purchase a TM6. After that, we have a different offer. Oh, sorry. Which is... this one. Pretty excited about this one too. This mini Cobalt vacuum cleaner. So The Cobalt are made by Vorwerk, who are the makers of Thermomix, and they make these vacuum cleaners. I have the big version, and it is incredible. And as consultants, we are earning this this month with as incentives. So, but it is available from 11 o'clock on the 8th of June for $49 for anyone who buys a TM6. Okay, so just wanted to show you those things. We'll get out of that as well. And we'll get on with things. So today is all about the blade cover. This is a blade cover. It is, it sits over the blades, obviously, and covers them in your Thermomix. So got the bottom of the bowl, your blade cover literally just fits over like that. And what our endeavour today is to show you a few recipes and a few ways that you can actually use this. And to start with, we are going to go to the lovely Irene, and she is going to show you how to make, oh, there you go, Hearty Seafood Chowder.
Yeah, the Hearty Seafood Chowder. I'm just going to jump onto this screen so we can go straight into the recipe. Beautiful. So Hearty Seafood Chowder. Start. Okay, so in a bowl I've got some parsley and some chives. They're going straight into the jug. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to jump back to the other screen. Probably easy just to see what I'm doing rather than trying to focus on the recipe. I'll just read through it for everyone's benefit. So the flat leaf parsley, and I've cut the chives into about threes, goes into the bowl. Chop for about 3 seconds, speed 7. We're done after about a second. All chopped, ready to go. Take it out of the bowl, back into the plate. We're going to pop this back in later and give our chowder some really nice freshness. Don't rinse the bowl out. We're dropping straight into the next dish. So 1 onion, I'll carve that. Some garlic cloves. Lid on again. Speed 5, 3 seconds. Even after all these years of being a consultant, I've been with Thermomix for about 11 years. Never get bored of how quickly it chops the onions.
Incredible, isn't it? How well it chops it in such a short period of time.
Very quick. Still get the tears, but at least I don't get the smelly fingers. To that, I'm adding, my carrot. Celery, just to cut it about 2-3 centimetre pieces. In the base of our stock, or I guess flavouring our stock a little bit more. Get another 5 seconds. So they're all chopped, ready to go. Again, scrape down. It's like I'm making veggie stock. Okay, 30 grams of unsalted butter. And we're going to cook that for 5 minutes. Mandy, if you want to jump on to the next person.
Yep, we're heading over to Pearl next. Oh,
unmute myself. Yeah. Okay. Hi, good evening, everybody. Hope you all are having a nice weekend. Today I'm going to make easy mac and cheese. So I'll just show you the recipe here. So if you look at this recipe, it gives you all the ingredients that are required, and it gives you what your calories are, nutrition per portion, and it also gives you hints and tips. So if I read these tips, it tells you that this is a great base recipe where you can swap and change ingredients to swap vegetables or add ham, bacon, or pasta or whatever you require. You can also substitute the cheeses. You can put blue cheese or smoked cheese, and the result is fantastic. Here also I'm going to be milling nutmeg. So in Indian cooking, we use a lot of nutmeg. So I buy a lot of nutmeg, and I will mill one for 30 seconds on speed 10, and I keep it. Otherwise, if you have too much of powder, then the smell goes away. So let me start cooking. So it's telling me in a small mixing bowl, place the mixing bowl, add frozen peas. So I have put frozen peas in my thermo server and kept it aside. So like this, the kids can eat some veggies too. So that's already set aside. Add 1 garlic clove. I'm going to put 3 garlic cloves. Next, 140 grams of Parmesan cheese. So I've got my cheeses weighed already, and I've mixed. I've got Parmesan cheese, and I have got cheddar cheese, and I have got some mozzarella cheese as well. There was a small piece left, so I didn't want to waste it. I'll use all that. So this is a block of cheese that I buy, and I'm cutting it into pieces and putting it aside. It's much more than 140 to 80 grams. It's 385 grams, but my kids like it cheesy, so I'm going to make it that way. So next, insert. For 10 seconds on speed 10. This is what it has done in 10 seconds for me. So now I'll keep it aside, transfer it into a bowl and set aside. That's what I'm going to do.
Of course, the great thing about that is there's no anti-caking agent when you grate it yourself.
And the smell is so good as compared to the one that you buy in packets. It's also telling me to clean and dry my bowl. So I will do it, because if there are any remnants at the bottom of my bowl, there's a chances that it might get burnt or it'll get black. So I don't want that to happen. So I'll just clean it and dry it.
Just whilst Pearl's doing that, a really good tip for getting a really dry bowl is wash it and dry it, dry it out with a tea towel, and then pop it on your Thermomix and turbo for 1 second, and you'll find there's an incredible amount of liquid or just moisture left on your blades. But when you do that, that will flick it all off your blades onto the side of the bowl, and it will make sure you can dry it out then, and makes it really dry.
Another tip is to get the second bowl and blade, because I've got the second bowl and blade, so which is an offer till the 8th. So I'll use that. I don't have to dry at the moment. So
that's a much better tip.
So next is 120 grams of carrots. It says it's optional, but I'm going to put it because my kids are going to eat this. So next, it's not much. Insert. For 3 seconds on speed 7. This is what I got for 3 seconds. See how fine it is. So I'm sure they won't even know that there are carrots inside. They'll only see the color. It's good when you have fussy kids who don't want to eat veggies. So you can camouflage all different types of vegetables in it. And they won't know.
A little bit of veggie smuggling.
Okay, so this is done. Next, insert the blade cover. So now I'm going to put the blade cover. And I will just show how it sits. It sits there on top of the blades. This is good to make. We make a lot of Indian curries, so it's good for curries. So you don't worry about the meats getting shredded. So place 40 grams of unsalted butter. Next, 650 grams of milk.
I love these sorts of things with the Thermomix where you just throw everything in and it just makes it for you.
And I like the scales, built-in scales too. You don't have to get another scale and weigh it. So that's another thing. Next, add some cream, 200 grams of cream.
Sarah, if you've got a question, do you want to pop it in the chat box down the bottom, please?
Some salt, half a teaspoon of salt, some ground pepper, 2 pinches of nutmeg. Here's my nutmeg powdered, smoked paprika, Dijon mustard, and some Worcestershire sauce. So I'm going to put all this in. Next, my reserved carrots go in now. Next, I'm putting 250 grams of pasta, macaroni, because it will become creamier. So it says between 250 to 280. So I'll get more sauce. So it'll become nice and creamy. So this goes there. Next, mix it with the spatula. Insert the measuring cup and then it's done. It'll be cooking there for another 20 minutes. So 22 minutes. I don't even actually have to put it on reverse. It automatically puts reverse, but there was no need because I've got the blade cover. So Mandy, to the next person.
Lovely, thank you, Pearl. We're back to Irene now.
Thanks, Mandy. Okay, so the next step is to add in 100 grams of unsalted butter, curry powder, and Mandy can show this to us a little bit later, but on your Thermomix cookie jar, you can actually make your own curry powder. So you don't need to buy these things. One of the things you find after having a Thermomix for a while and you're experimenting with cuisine from right around the world is you end up with every spice in your cupboard. So you can make your own curry powder. I'm adding salt, ground black pepper, some fresh thyme, some plain flour. That's all in this little tub here. So I'm just going to pop that in. A little bit stuck. And I noticed in the chat box, someone's already made this, which is awesome. They just used a marinara mix and they quite liked it, so it's good. And basically the flour and the butter, we're kind of making a roux, sort of. It's basically going to help thicken up our sauce. So that's going to cook for another 3 minutes. Back to you, Mandy.
Sorry. I was just trying to find the recipe to post there. I'll do that in a minute. Unless, Boone, you can do that. That would be fantastic for the seafood chowder. Okay, so one of the reasons that we're using the blade cover today is because it is a host reward for anyone who has guests and one of them decides to purchase a TM6 that is in June and July. And it's something which I have used quite a lot. But not necessarily for making dishes. The reason I use it is because, as a lot of you on here will know already, I'm try to be as sustainably conscious as possible and be a zero waste. So one of the reasons that I use it a lot is for things like chickpeas, dried chickpeas and black beans, kidney beans, cannellini beans. I'm fortunate enough to live close to the source, and I take my own containers up there and they get filled. I can fill them up with the dried beans. And they're obviously you have to soak them, but you soak them overnight, and then with the blade cover, you slow cook them in your Thermomix. And they take 2 hours, but it's 2 hours and I can be off. I can be out doing something else. I can be, you know, here doing some other work or whatever. They're just cooking there by themselves with the blade cover. What I find is the recipe calls for 300 grams of beans. So you soak them, you pop them in there with the required amount of water. When they've actually cooked, you end up with 500 grams in weight of the beans or the chickpeas. Now, if you buy a tin of chickpeas or beans, you get 240 grams of beans or chickpeas out of that can. So I'm getting double the quantity. I'm actually paying less because I'm just buying the dried thing. I'm not paying for any processing or anything like that. And it's zero waste because there's no packaging or anything else to get rid of. So that is what I have used the blade cover a lot for. We're having a gourmet weekend here because it's lockdown. I've got time. And so I've been using the blade cover for a few other things, which I'll talk about in a minute. But just a reminder, it is a current host reward when one of your guests purchases a TM6 in the next couple of months. On that too, the price of the TM6 is going up in July. We're not exactly sure when, and we're not exactly sure how much by, but we have been warned that it is going up. So if it is something that you're thinking about, particularly coupled with that bowl and blade set offer, which is on till I think Monday night, but it is, you know, first thing Tuesday morning, then yeah, it's a great time to buy. Lisa, yes, no, I don't soak them in the Thermomix. I soak them in a different bowl. I just stick them in a bowl overnight, you know, with water. I do find if I'm doing black beans or kidney beans, the bowl, you can see the water level on the bowl after 2 hours, but, you know, after a few uses it goes. So there's no drama with that. All right, Irene looks like she might be ready for the next step, so we will go back to her.
Thanks, Mandy. Okay, so the next step is asking me to transfer this into a bowl so I can insert the blade cover. I do have a second jug just to save me that step. Otherwise, I still have to wash it anyway, so it makes no difference. So your blade cover literally just sits inside, just on the base. And in the recipe, you can actually see a video on how to insert it. Now it's asking me to put that vegetable mix back into the back in. So I'm going to do that.
It's a serious bonus having the second bowl, isn't it? So you don't have to clean it out and, you know,
well, at the end of the day, I've got to move this into another bowl. So what's the difference? I may as well use my jug just to speed up the process. So the vegetable mix goes in, then goes in some white wine.
You haven't drunk much white wine this week, Irene, because I'm sure that was the bottle you used for your risotto.
I did. It has not much left. Not bad, eh?
Yeah.
Mind you, I've used it all for cooking. I haven't had anything to drink. So. Risotto after risotto. So in goes my potato. It says 2 potatoes. This is literally 1, and it was about a middle size. So it wasn't overly large. Anyway, potato goes in. So just to ensure I get all those little flavours, I've got my fish stock here, which I'll talk about in a second. I'm just going to pour that into my jug to kind of swish around and loosen up all the yummy bits on the bottom of that bowl. I guess that's the beauty of getting the stuff into a bowl. And then pour that back into here. Right. You can hear it's bubbling because there's an air pocket underneath. Okay, 100 grams of whipping cream. I use pure cream for this. And if I don't use all of this by its use by date, I make butter and buttermilk. Okay. Next, lid goes back on. We're going to cook that for 35 minutes. Back to you, Mandy.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is show you a couple of real basics that you can use the blade cover for. But before I do that, just a little aside. That wine that we were just having a bit of a giggle about with the white wine, I made, one of the dishes I made yesterday was poached pears in red wine. And it was like a mulled, it was a spiced poached pears. And you got mulled wine at the end of it because you had to use a little bit for a gel, but the rest of it, I was having mulled wine last night. It was delicious, great side effect for that, or, you know, it's a byproduct of that recipe. Anyway, I'm just going to find my screen here somewhere. Here it is. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is stewed apples. So I'm just going into my week here. And here we go, stewed apples. So we've got the seafood chowder, we've got the easy mac and cheese there, we've got stewed apples. All right. Start cooking. Insert the blade cover. Okay, so you can see there's obviously two sides to the blade cover. This side has got two little things that you can actually hang on to. The other side you can. It's a little bit more bulky on the other side. So it's the side that doesn't have as much on it that goes on the blades. And there is a little video here, so we can just watch that. If it works. There you go, that hard. All right, get rid of that video. Next, 700 grams of water. And for anyone who doesn't have a TM6, it measures in 1 gram increments. Next, cinnamon. So we like a bit of cinnamon, so I'm going to do half a teaspoon. Going in. 50 grams of brown sugar. Then these are my Granny Smith apples, and it says peeled, cored, and cut into 8. So obviously quarter them and just cut each quarter in half. Okay, let me put the back. Get splashed otherwise. All right, so I'm just going to take that bowl off and show you. See, so it's quite full. If you look at it, the maximum line is just there. So we're pretty much there. We're glad I didn't do 900 grams. Then I'm going to pop the lid on. Find a measuring cup here somewhere. Here we go. And
Mandy, before you cook, Sarah's just asking me about the measuring cup. Can you just show the lid that how the measuring cup doesn't fall?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, so it is a different style to the TM5 one. It has these little lugs at the side here, and what it does is it literally clips in place, which means that you can turn it upside down, it doesn't fall out. So there's no more skittering across the floor when you turn it upside down and forget that it's going to fall out. This fits on fits in a litre of a TM31, of a TM5 and a TM6. You can buy them in the mix shop. All right. So I'm going to put that on. It's literally going to be on speed stir. All right. And whilst that's happening, I'm going to move over to my other screen here. And I'm going to take a photo of this, but I will put this into the chat box when I've finished doing it. But I'm actually going to poach some eggs using the blade cover. This isn't a recipe on Cookie Do. There's a sous vide eggs recipe where you actually bunch your little, you actually use the measuring cup. It says you line the measuring cup with some Glad wrap, and then you pour your egg in there, and you bunch it all up and you tie it up with some kitchen string. And then you can actually sous vide the eggs in there. There's a recipe for it. I'll show that to you shortly. But I am doing one that another consultant actually developed. And so I've just got it written down here, but I will put that in the chat a little bit later on. Now, what am I doing? I've got my blade covers in, 170 grams of light vinegar. All right. So I'm just going to swipe this way, pop my scales on. And by the way, for anybody who doesn't have a TM6 and wants to look a little bit more at it, once we've finished doing our class, I will stay on at the end and show you a bit more about it. Okay, so 170 grams of this. Okay, and so I've just got the kettle boiling in the background because, oh, I should have kept that on there. I then need 1,700 or 1,700 grams of boiling water. So I'm just waiting for that kettle to boil. There's lots of basics you can do with the blade cover, and I will go into Cookie Do shortly and I'll show you some of the recipes. But you can cook corn in here, you know, corn on the cob. You can cook, you know, beetroot, whole beetroot. You can cook potatoes in there, a bit similar to the way we're doing the apples. So there's an awful lot of great basics, things that you can just walk away. You know, if they're on the stove top, you've got to go and make sure they're not boiling over, da-da-da-da-da. Stick them in your Thermomix and they'll just look after themselves. Okay, boiling water coming in. All right, now the next thing I need to do is use another mode over here, and that is kettle mode. And I'm going to put it on for 10 minutes. Hang on, 10 minutes, 100 degrees. Kettle mode. No. Oh no, sorry, that was the TM5. It's 10 minutes, 100 degrees. I've got to set the timer for. So I'm getting myself confused. I made these yesterday morning just to practice. So I'm going to get out of there. I'm not going to use kettle mode, but if oh no, kettle mode. Put it on kettle mode to get to. Sorry, where are we? Kettle mode. I've just got to put it on here. We want it to go to 100 degrees. Why aren't you? Oh, it's not. Please select. Oh, there it is. Sorry, that was up there. And I go on the kettle, and I'm just going to turn. And you can see it's on 65 degrees currently, and it's going to heat up to 100. Once it's on 100, I will actually come back and put the eggs in. Okay, now just had a question for Irene actually. Well, because she's the chefy one, wherever she is. Irene, you just come off mute a second and just answer, why do we put vinegar with poached eggs? Why do poached eggs need vinegar?
The idea is that it actually makes the egg white draw in together and coagulate. So basically, so you don't end up with a really flat egg. It just changes the water pH and brings the egg, I guess binds the egg and brings it back together.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's lots of people that do it without. So if you've got a spinning motion, there's lots of people that just use the molds. Don't have to worry about it. But you can, yeah,
cool.
It's not the end
All
of
right.
the world if you don't use it. Do you want me to show the?
Yeah, why not? Why not? Yeah, we'll stick with Irene. She's just going to show you. So one of the reasons for using the blade cover is because we can sous vide in here. And for those who don't know, sous vide means under a vacuum. And Irene's just going to show you that we do have in the mix shop. There are bags and a little vacuum thing which can help you with the sous viding. Anyway, over to you.
So basically it's USB charged. It's just a little mini vacuum sealer that sits on that little orange dot. I bought some fish yesterday. I thought may as well hold off putting it in and vacuum sealing it. So why do you vacuum seal? Well, obviously, other than the sous vide, it's actually a really good way to store your food, and it can extend the shelf life or the freezer life of your food by 3 to 4 months. Anyone who's had that horrific freezer burn on your steaks or fish, it actually ruins the flavour of the food, and so it actually, I guess, deteriorates it. By vacuum sealing, we're drawing out all of that air, so there's less opportunity for any of that freezer burn to take place. So basically, the bags that's a pretty large sewing fillet. So you could probably fit a good 2, maybe even 3 if I sort of stretch it around the side. You might be able to get 3 in there. Just vacuum seal it. And these are great because they're reusable. So they're just like a Ziploc bag. So once you use it, you don't have to cut it open like some of the other vacuum seal machines. Give it a good wash and keep reusing it. Obviously, if you pierce the bag, you can't. Then I'll just move the camera down. Oops, I've lost you guys. 1 second. Okay, so then that goes onto that little orange spot. There's a little button at the top. We're done. So nice and sealed. So that's ready to go into our Thermomix if you wanted to do a sous vide salmon, which is divine, melts like butter. Otherwise straight into the freezer so that it doesn't get all of that horrific freezer burn. I wanted to mention before the fish stock. So it's probably depending on where you get your fish, I obviously get mine down at Paran Market. I've got a really good relationship with my fishmonger. So if you get in at the right time, that's when they're filleting all of their ginormous snappers, and they're actually throwing the heads into these massive bins, which they basically throw out. If you've got a really good relationship with your fishmonger, they'll actually give you can actually ask for some of the heads, some of the fins, some of the bits that they basically throw out. And it's literally like any basic stock. So onions, celery, carrots into a pot, along with the fish heads and some water, and basically boil it down about 30 to probably no more than say 30 to 40 minutes. And you've got yourself some free fish stock. I'm pretty sure there's a fish stock. We'll have a look later on Cookie Doodle, see if there's a fish stock or fish stock paste that you can make. But it basically is probably one of the cheapest that you're going to make if you can get yourself along to a fishmonger and build up that long-term relationship. So go for it. And it's delicious fish head soup. You don't eat the fish head if you don't want to, but the broth that it makes is delicious. We add rice to ours and do an argo dish with fish stock. It's absolutely divine. So maybe we can make that one day, Mandy. Go back into our Greek recipe round 2. How long would the fish stock keep for? Not for long. So probably be no more than say a couple of months in the freezer, but I would freeze it because it just loses its intensity. So it's one of those stocks that we make and use within a few days. Otherwise freeze it straight away and try and use it within a couple of months. Thanks, Maddie.
Okay, I'll come to the other one. Oh, come to the other one, Boone, on my, here we go. All right, so I did actually get to 100 degrees, but it was in the middle of the conversation. So I have just put it back to 100 degrees. And we're just about there. It's going to tell me it's finished shortly. Okay, mode is done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to the home screen and I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I'm going to set this for 100 degrees, which is where it is. And I'm going to put this on reverse, speed 1. And then I'm going to break a couple of eggs, well, just going to drop them through the top. So basically, I've got the water circulating in here. I'm going to do, you can do up to 4, but I'm going to do a couple because it's not really poached egg time of day. I'm going to drop 1 in there and another in. And we're just going to let them cook for 5 minutes. Okay, so whilst that's happening, I'm going to show you another way that you can actually do the sous vide. So let me just get a couple of things out of the way here.
Oh, should we go back to Paul? Is Paul ready?
Yeah, I just finished, yes.
Okay, sure.
So I've just finished cooking and this is what it is. And it's nice and saucy, which will cook a little better when I'm put it in the, oh, I've spilled here on my laptop. I'll put it in the thermo server and it will become creamier and it will become thicker. So, yeah.
Lovely, thanks, Pearl. We'll come back to you when a little bit later on.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so if you can go to the other camera again, Boone, please.
Sure.
Thank you. All right, so the other way, if you don't have one of those sous vide things, the suction, is you can use just a snap lock bag. This one does actually say on it, I've used it for other things, but I've washed it and I never reuse after meat. But it says BPA free, and it does say that it's really important that it is BPA free. And what you do is you pop your whatever you're going to do here. So this is I'll show you the recipe in a minute, but this is some chicken I'm going to sous vide a little bit later on. And what you do is you go all the way along, apart from a little tiny bit here, which you leave open. So the rest of that's sealed, and I've got a few centimeters at the bottom here, here at this one end that are still open. And then you immerse it in water. So you can obviously do it in your sink, but the idea is when you immerse it in water, it's going to, the air is going to come up to that corner, and it's not going to be nearly as good as Irene's with her thing, but basically it just means that you can, well, I don't know if you can see, I can see, I've actually got less air in there than I did at the beginning, but that is the other way you can do your sous vide, just by immersing and letting that air go out, so you have as little as air in there as possible. Okay, and that's going to be part of my dinner. But I've got 2 busy Thermomixes at the moment, so I will put that on a little bit later on. Okay. All right, so we just got 1 minute 50 on our eggs. So we're gonna come back to those, and I will just we'll just watch those and see how they turn out. They worked quite nicely. That was cold water, Janine. Yeah, they worked very nicely yesterday for breakfast. What you do need, though, where have I put it? So many things around here. You need a slotted spoon to pull the eggs out, and something to put them on. So 1 minute 12. All right. So anyone got any questions so far? Just whilst these eggs are finishing, and then we will go on to cookie dough and have a look at some of the recipes that are available to use with your blade cover. Welcome to come off mute if you've got a question at this point in time. So I can never work out which way I have to go with these cameras. We've got 45 seconds. And I'll get a knife so I can cut an egg in half.
Has anyone sous vide anything? Do you want to pop something in the chat box? Has anyone had a go?
Okay, so Lisa's saying that she made her hearty seafood chowder didn't use the blade cover, and it's not saying about the blade cover. So we'll have a look at the recipe in a minute. Okay. So Kelly's lent me her blade cover, so I've got 2 blade covers here. But we'll have a look. Oh, here we go. All right. So. Well, they've joined themselves. They're twins. Okay, so there's one. Oops, that way. Okay, and the other one, it's a little bit messier, but so what you do find is there is a little bit of floating egg white. So I have got that there separate just so you can see. And that's my other poached egg. So put this down here. So they look pretty good, I reckon. I mean, yeah, there is that little bit extra that poached itself separately. I'm going to just cut one of them in half so you can see what it's like. There you go. That's a pretty good looking poached egg, I reckon. So that's a really good way. Yeah, so the poached egg recipe is, oh yeah, no, I will post it for you, sorry. Yeah, I'll make sure I put that up there. There we go. That's a good way of using your blade colour. All right. So what we'll do now, but I'm just going to go on to do. I'm going to share my screen. All right. Hearty Seafood Chowder. Interesting. Oh, that one doesn't have a blade cover, but there's definitely a blade cover one. All right. So for anyone who doesn't know about Cookie Do, it is our recipe platform that we have access to in our smart connected TM6. We can literally go straight into the screen of the Thermomix and access recipes. You have a profile up here, and some of you who've got it may not actually realize this, but on your profile, you can now customize. So you can say, if you're just a vegetarian, you can click on that, the time-saving cook, the chefy cook, the classic cook, and it will actually suggest recipes for you. You can also save your filter preference. Having said that, it's not very good at saving it on my computer, but it's on my phone, on the TM6, and also on my iPad, it saves it perfectly. So I don't know why it doesn't do it on here. All right. Just another point here too is your account is here. And when you get a TM6, you automatically get a 6-month subscription to Cookie Do. After that, you need to renew it, and it is $49 a year. And this is where you do it. You have to go onto the website. You cannot access it from your from any of the apps. So it needs to be from here. Okay, so I can go into here and I can just go blade cover, and it's going to come up with a whole lot of recipes that use the rate. Oh, it saved my filters. There you go. It's making a liar out of me. So there are my filters in there all ready to go. So here we are. We've got a selection. That chicken broth looks really good too. The drumsticks I've made before. We've got, there's the easy mac and cheese. There we go. So just cooking potatoes, you can cook pasta in there. You can do gnocchi, or, you know, you could just do macaroni or other pasta. This looks amazing, the Asian master stock. And here's our hearty seafood chowder, the one that we're actually, that Irene is making. Stewed fruit compotes, things like hot, you can cook your beetroot, you can cook your, this says, yeah, beetroot and corn. Stewed prunes, split peas, there's the apples. Liquid stocks instead of the stock that we usually make. There we go, haricot beans and sous vide options as well. Now, I made this last night, except I used beef, not lamb, because we had beef, not lamb. And it was absolutely divine, and it It didn't take 9 hours to cook. We'll just have a quick look in here. So there was a marinade that you made first. I love the way it says at the beginning of these, make sure you have a blade cover before starting the recipe. So I had to make the marinade and also use the automatic blend to blend it all up. And then I had to cover it and put it in the, I put it in the fridge for a couple of hours. And then it's slow cooked for 6 hours. That meat absolutely just melted in the mouth. It was incredible. And I'll definitely be making that again. What other things have we got here? So you can see there's the slow cooked chickpeas. That's the recipe I do for all the beans and the, you know, those sorts of pulses. So dried chickpeas, oh, it's 250 grams. It ends up at 500 grams as the result. Yeah, obviously covering them, and then you just slow cook them for 2 hours, 30 minutes. Amazing. Oh, okay. That's interesting. I haven't tried kidney beans yet, so I'll have to remember that that's a different, I need a different recipe. But I have done black beans the same way. I've got a feeling I've done kidney beans that way. Anyway, I'll have another play. I've done the sous vide strawberries with chocolate cheese mousse, white chocolate cheese mousse. That was really delicious. Took that to a dinner party when we could. And that's the other recipe I did last night was the slow cooked pears in red wine. And this is what I'm actually making tonight. So just in this recipe, just something that I found out with it, it does give you the mulled wine to have on the side afterwards, but they slow cooked for 4 hours. Now, then you make a wine syrup. Slightly different to what I did. Might go into my recently cooked my recipe. Oh no, I have to do it on my machine. Anyway, yeah, bugger. I have to do it on my machine. The recipe was slightly different. And I didn't have orange zest, so that's not quite the same one. I didn't have that. That's not the recipe I did. So I did it. I know why, because it's not the full. There were other elements to it as well, which I let me find the right one. It wasn't sous vide pears, but oh, that one is divine. Sounds really interesting, you know, odd, but it is really delicious. There's the sous vide asparagus with poached eggs that you can do. And that's the ones in the Glad wrap. Where are my pears? Oh, there's a few repeats here, obviously, because they come from different countries. I'll have to. Oh, basic black beans. There's a new collection that just actually arrived from the US. And we'll have a look at those in a minute. I don't know where my pears have gone, but I promise you I made them, and I will look up the recipe in a minute. All right, but when you found a recipe like this, you might go, okay, well, I'd like to try that mousse. So you can just go add to my week. And I think it's more of a, you know, weekend thing. So I might do it next Friday night, save it. I can also, if I want to create a collection of sous vide recipes, I can click on here and I can add it to a collection. And I think I'll just put it in here, blade cover Thermomix suggested, that'll do. All right, and so if you are, so these are all different blade cover recipes, but if you just wanted a blade cover sous vide, oops, lucky they can work out what I'm sous vide, then you're going to just get all the sous vide recipes there. And then, you know, you go, okay, all right, well, I'll have a quick look in this one. This one looks really interesting. It's also got the calories and the carbs and the protein, the fat. I like this one, it's low carb, high fat. And it will also give you the tips and hints. It's always well worth reading the tips and tricks in any recipe, because just even blade cover aside, just things like things like the basic pumpkin soup. If you go to tips and hints, there's an Asian variety. So there's a lot of fantastic things that you can make. So I would go through, if I wanted to look for sous vide recipes using the blade cover, I would put those filters in, and I would go and have a look at all of them and add them to my sous vide collection. All right, we're going to go into my recipes, which is where there are created collections. And in here, I had that blade cover Thermomix suggested. These were just, oh, they'd suggested that one anyway. So I put it in twice. So to get rid of it, I just click on there and I just go remove. I don't need it in there twice. Here we go. This is my one that I made last night. The spiced poached pears with vanilla cheesecake and ginger nut crumb. Now, what I was going to explain was the mulled wine gel. So I had to add in the agar-agar and some maple syrup and salt and pepper and cook it for 6 minutes and leave it to cool for an hour. And it did set into a gel. Then it says, once it's set, blend for 2 minutes, speed 7, which I did. Pour the blended gel into a squeezy bottle and place in the fridge. Do not place it in the fridge because it just sets again. So I haven't tried reblending it and leaving it out, but I mean, I still use it. I use it like I just cut a disc of it out and we had it with them. It was still great, but it doesn't actually form a fluid gel. With the cheesecake, that was delicious, but I made the coconut crumb from that chili pineapple because I'm gluten-free and I didn't want to do the ginger nut biscuits. But that's one of the great things about this. You can you know, mix and match along the way. So there's panna cotta, there's a few different recipes in there. Also, I've got some saved collections in here. We have blade cover basics. So this is just showing you some of those real basics, like cooking your potatoes, the stewed apples, the liquid stocks, the pasta, and cooking beetroot and corn. Also down here, we've got blade cover cooking. There's the Hearty Seafood Chowder, the Easy Mac and Cheese. There's a pork one, the Tex-Mex vegetable. That looks great. As I said, I've made that one before. That was great. And further down, there's Keeping It Cozy. That's all blade cover as well. So there's quite a few different recipes. That's on my list for this week. It looks incredible. So lots of different things that you can actually make using the blade cover. But going to my week, I was showing somebody something yesterday. I'm just going to clear my shopping list. Say, you know, I might be shopping. So we had the Mexican scrambled eggs this morning. They were delicious too. But I'm going to have to shop for that fish curry, the coconut fish soup. I'm going to have to shop for that. So I put them in my shopping list and I go show ingredients. Now, I know I've got brown sugar in the cupboard. I know I don't need to buy water. I've got Parmesan cheese. I've bought the ricotta already. I have a lime. I've got beef mince. So you just basically click off the things that you don't need to purchase. And if you find, there's always a lot of herbs and things, but if you actually go through them, chili, dried Italian herbs, oregano, sea salt, black pepper, curry paste because I make it. So all those things I have. And then you might need to buy, let's say cleaning product, okay? And I'm just going to add that in. So you can absolutely add anything to the list. And then if you want to, you can go order ingredients. And you can only order through Woolies. But there you go, it populates your cart. And if you don't like that brand, you can swap it out and you can swap it for something else. So I wouldn't buy that coconut milk. In fact, I made a vow on Facebook Live yesterday, I'm not buying coconut milk in a tin again. Keisha was there, she heard me. All right, so yeah, but basically you can swap the brand and you can add it to your Woolies cart. Or what you can do is all these, as we said before, the recipe, the cookie dough is available on an app, on your phone and on your iPad, whatever. And I just take my phone with me to the supermarket, click things off as I get them. Sarah, you are quite correct. No chips. It literally goes straight, you can go straight into the screen because it's Wi-Fi connected, the whole machine is. Whereas a TM5, you needed a cook key on the side to then be able to synchronize. And I know Kelly will probably have told you, she actually had my TM6 for a week and she's going, oh my God, this is incredible because I can just go, there's no syncing, there's nothing like that. You just go straight in and the recipe is there. Why no tin of coconut, Marilyn? It's my zero waste policy. All right, so I'm going to make my coconut milk in the future. I was just saying on this live that the thing I haven't managed to substitute yet is a tin of tomatoes. And then I came out and did a second live and I had a tin of coconut milk and I'm going, oh my goodness, I'm doing the wrong thing here. So that's why I'm going to do that. I had to say coconut cream. I'm not good at making coconut cream, so I will buy the coconut cream, but not the milk, because I know that's pretty easy to make. All right.
And someone's asking about the sous vide. How long to sous vide a chicken breast for? It can be 3 hours. It just depends on the thickness. Some are thicker and some are thinner. I would definitely check for doneness. So you can use an internal thermometer. Remember, it needs to be above 60 degrees to be food safe. So that's the good thing with those Ziploc bags, is you can open it and check it just to check that internal temperature, whether it's chicken, even fish, or meats. And I think there was another question. Where was it? Sorry. Nope, that's okay. I think you answered the other ones.
Okay.
Someone was asking about, we're nearly on to this anyway. Someone was asking about, didn't get to see how you added into the bowl. Did you just place the eggs directly in the bowl to cook? Jermaine, do you want to just explain what you did with that?
Sorry, I missed the question.
It said, what did you actually do with the eggs? How did you
so the eggs, I just literally, so I had the water boiling and then I did and then I dropped it and it was swirling. So it was on reverse, on speed 1. And in that swirling water, through the lid, I just dropped the eggs in. They had to separate the eggs, or not separate, you have to put the eggs in a small container. So I had them in one of these green containers, each one egg in each container, and then just drop them in. And I will.
I'm ready to throw in the fish.
And Laura, I don't buy coconuts, but what I will be doing is I will be using either shredded coconut or flaked coconut or something, and chopping, just blitzing that up with water and then putting it through a nut milk bag.
Okay, so I'm up to the next step for the chowder. Can I say the house is smelling pretty amazing? So I'm adding white firm fish. You can use snapper. I'm using rockling today. I like rockling. It has a crab type taste and texture. So the fish goes in. It's literally one fillet from the fishmonger. This is going to cook for 3 minutes. Then I'm going to pop in, I've got some beautiful West Australian scallops, and I've got some large king prawns, all raw, of course, and they're going to go in for the next 3 minutes. So Mandy, back to you.
Okay, so I feel like I'm a bit busy here, but I'm going to I'm going to start the sous vide of my chicken so we can actually have it for dinner tonight. And I'll go to the other screen. Here we go. All right, so what you can do when you're in a recipe, so I've done part of this recipe already because I've stuffed the chicken breast, I've done all that bit. So you can actually go down through here, through the recipe, you can find the place that you want to start at. So I've done my chicken, I've pounded it, I've filled it with a filling, and I have put the blade cover in, placed the sealed bag and water into the mixing bowl. So that's where I'm up to. I've got my blade cover in there. So the blade cover's in, place the bag sealed with the chicken. That's what I just showed you before. I'm going to fit that in there. Then I'm going to put 1,400 to 1,500 grams of water. Just need to fill it. Okay. And then I have to remove the bag. and set it aside. So I'm literally just pulling the bag out and just putting it, because it's wet, putting it into a little bowl there. And then I'm going to add 30 grams of lemon juice. Now, this is actually really important. She says, I've got it here somewhere. Here we are. Because what it says is, even though we know it's a stainless steel bowl, it's just, it can, with prolonged cooking, with just water in there, it can get a little bit rusty. So I'm just going to go onto these 3 little dots here. We're going to go recipe detail. I'm going to come down to the bottom here. It's going to tell us in the tips and hints why we do it. Water immersion method, we've done that, so that tells you how to do it. The amount of water depends on the volume of the bags. To protect against corrosion with longer term use, 30 grams of lemon juice or 1 level teaspoon of vitamin C or ascorbic acid must be added to the water. Okay. Continue. I've got my lemon juice just in here. Okay. And I'm going to pop my lid back on. And it's going to heat up for 15 minutes. And we're not going to do the whole recipe, of course, because we're pretty much out of time anyway. But it's going to heat up to 72 degrees. That is the little sous vide symbol. And after that, I'm going to put my chicken bag, my bag in there. And the chicken is going to cook in there for an hour and a half. And what I will do is I will post a photo of the finished product in my group. So I'll just do that. And that's going to just start heating up. All right. That's carrying on with the recipe because there's a sauce to go with it. Right. How are you going, Irene? Can't unmute.
Sorry. Had fishy fingers. I didn't want to get it over the computer. I've just dropped the parsley mixture that we had cut before. That was the first thing we did. The prawns have gone in, the scallops have gone in. 3 minutes and we're good to go. Ready to serve.
All right. Okay, so the question, lemon juice, it can be from those plastic bottles in the supermarket, except Lisa Calandra, I'd rather use real lemons than plastic. Okay, plastic takes 1,000 years to degrade, and if you've got some in your fridge, use it. But if you can just use lemons, preferable. It's actually fascinating, and this is one of the things I love about the Thermomix. Is you go into the supermarket, you look for tomato sauce that is not in a plastic container, and it is really hard to find. You can buy, I think there's one really gourmet one. So the fabulous thing about this is you can make it so easily, and a barbecue sauce. There's so many things that you can make and put into a used a bottle, glass jar or a bottle that you've used before and washed out, rather than going for plastic. Anyway, that's me on my soapbox. Team's used to me doing that, and some of you are as well. All right, what I will just do is Irene, you tell us when you're ready. But I will just do a quick little rundown of the TM, oh, hang on, I've got to move to my other camera, the TM6, so those people who haven't seen it can have a bit of a look. All right, so this is, our smart connected TM6. You can cook manually on this. We've got time, temperature, speed. Whichever one of these is large is controlled by the silver knob over here. So our time, we turn up that way. This one means we can just turn our temperature up. We go all the way up to 120 degrees. That is on a thermostat. So it will go up to the temperature and click off. If you want to steam in it, you need to be on Varoma temperature. This is just if you're doing things manually, okay? Just gonna take that temperature off. And this is our speed button, all right? So we turn that up. You've seen us turning that up. This little symbol means that the blades are chopping. They're going forwards and they're chopping. That little symbol there means that they are on reverse. Okay. The other things we've got in here, if we swipe sideways, we've got our scales. You've seen us using the scales, 1 gram increment. We've got dough, which is for kneading. So 2 minutes of kneading bread in the Thermomix is equivalent to 25 minutes by hand. We've got our turbo button, which can be for chopping. or it's also used for, I mentioned it before about getting a really dry bowl. It's also great for if you've got a cake mixture or a dip or something, and you've got some left around your blades, you turbo and that flicks it all off your blades and makes it easier to clean up. The pre-clean, oh my goodness, game changer. Bit of water in here, turn it up to, I usually just do universal clean, but if you're doing fat or caramel or browning, if you've used the high heat function, which I'll mention in a minute, you might use those. Just use literally a drop of dishwashing liquid. If you're doing the browning, use a little bit of white vinegar. Okay. Got an automatic blend. We've got the egg boiler, also a game changer. Pop your eggs in. But every function like this has a little information thing at the top there, so it will tell you how to use the function. Place 2 to 6 eggs, cold from the fridge, in the mixing bowl, without the simmering basket. Add water up to the 1 litre mark, and then you basically decide how you want your eggs, and you turn it up to there, walk away, and they'll come back and they'll be done. Irene, do you need us to come to you, or you?
I'm ready. Yep.
It's ready. Okay, we'll go to you. I'll come back to this after.
Okay, guys. The chowder's done. So literally, I'm just grabbing a ladle just to get it into my thermoserver. Oh, in the thermoserver, the recipe calls for some salmon. So it's a couple of sheets or a couple of pieces of smoked salmon. It's gorgeous and thick. Beautiful. It smells incredible. Nothing better than having a nice hearty bowl of food on a cold night. I'm using the 2.2 litre thermoserver here, and that's covered literally just to the top. So you're getting 2.2 litres of food out of that particular dish. And honestly, I would just leave it in here. Bit of parsley on top. We're good to go.
Looks amazing. Thank you very much.
Smells incredible. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. I wish I could come for dinner.
Soon,
right.
hopefully.
Ladies, I'm just going to read out the poached egg with blade cover recipe. So if you've got pen and paper, you're going to have to copy it down from the chat box anyway. So I'll read it out. So basically, you pop the blade cover in, obviously. Then you add 170 grams of white vinegar and 1,700 grams of boiling water. Then if you have a TM6, you put it on kettle mode for 100 degrees, just to make sure it's, because obviously when you're pouring it in, the boiling water in, the vinegar is going to cool it down a bit. So you just put it on kettle mode to get it up to 100 degrees. If you're on the TM5, you want 10 minutes, 100 degrees, speed 1. Janine, I'm sure you could just add extra seafood instead of potato. You're low carb eating. All right, then you go back to the home screen of the Thermomix and you put the time on 5 minutes, the temperature on 100 degrees, and the speed is speed 1 on reverse. Then it says you break 4 eggs in through the lid, just separately. So as I did, each egg has to go in separately. And it's because the water's swirling that it gives that nice little, makes it into a little, package like that. It says time 4 minutes. I did the full 5, but anyway. And as you saw, that looked fine. And you remove it with a slotted spoon. So pretty easy. All right, I'm just going to go back to the other camera and finish off showing you around the TM6. Okay, so that's the egg we've got there. My kettle mode, we saw me use that. Warm up is for things like warming up soup, things like that. Thicken mode, I just use in guided cooking. I know Irene uses it outside of that, but I just use it in guided cooking because I'm a cook, not a chef. And rice cooker, the same deal. And we've got fermentation is for things like yogurt, slow cooking, which we're using, and the sous vide. They're both, you really do need a blade cover for those 2 functions. And then I'm going to come back to the home screen. We can swipe right to the right. We go straight into cookie dough. So that's exactly how you saw it on my the screen of my computer before, and I can start searching in there. My filters will also be there, she says. Fingers crossed. Oh, come on. I've got one there. I should have 5. There we have 5 filters. They're already set in there, and I can just start searching through cookie dough from here. The other thing I can do is I can access my week on here. So I can look at the different recipes, I meal plan them. I come in there on Monday, I'm going, oh yes, I'm making that fish. I click on there and I start cooking, okay? The other thing on here is I've got my recipes. So I've got a few bookmarks in here, things that I use a lot. You don't want to have too many bookmarks. I've got 9. And you've also got creative collection. So they're those ones that I showed you on the, again, on the computer. So we had, look, oh, hang on. Blade cover Thermomix suggested. That was the one we looked at there. So that they're all sitting in there and I can just hit one of those and off we go. And we also have save collections. So I've got some back to basics, basic meat and seafood, blade cover basics, blade cover cooking, all sorts of different things in there. Oh, I've got black, oh yeah. So those are whole collections on Cookie Dough that I've just saved as a whole collection. The Thermomix also comes with the simmering basket, the TM6 simmering basket with a lid on it. Okay, that's used either in there or on the top for different recipes. We also have a blade cover. All right, now the blade cover is actually really important because it's with the TM6 we have a high heat function. It goes up to 160 degrees, and this is used instead of the measuring cup on top. So what that allows us to do is brown onions, brown meats, to make you know, toffee, caramel, honeycomb, all those sorts of things, sugar stages we can do in here.
Right, Mandy, that was high heat cover, isn't it? That's not the blade cover.
No, it's high heat, yeah. Oh, did I say blade cover?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Brain's getting a bit dead. Okay, and you've also got your varoma, which sits on top, which we use for steaming. And we did a varoma class just a couple of weeks ago, so that's all on YouTube. If anyone missed that, you want to have a look. We have a butterfly which goes in the bowl, and that's for whipping egg whites and cream, and helps with your fruity drinks for a nice smooth ice cream. And your spatula.
I think Pearl would like us to go back to her for a bit.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. We'll go back to Pearl. Oh, well done.
Mine is ready. See how runny it was, and now it's become nice and creamy. So if you all can see it.
Yes, we can see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks delicious, Pearl. They're going to be fighting over that, your kids.
So happy kids, happy family. So
yeah, absolutely. I thought that was wife, mother. All right. Now, does anyone have any questions? You are welcome to come off mute and ask them.
Mandy, I'm doing the pre-clean just to show everyone.
Oh, are you? Okay, we'll come to you quickly.
Really quickly. So just on your Thermomix, from your home screen, you just obviously swipe. There's a pre-clean function. So that's, I've taken all the chowder out of the bowl. There's 4 types of cleaning. Dough, so that uses 37 degrees. Universal uses about 55. Then there's a fat caramel, and then there's burnt or browning. So I'm just going to use universal. It just needs a basic clean, and literally a drop of dishwashing liquid, and leave it. It'll soak when it needs to with the fat, you know, fats or caramels. Just makes it so much easier to not have to worry about washing the dishes. It'll do a really good rinse.
Beautiful. Thanks, Irene. And thank you, Irene and Pearl, for cooking as well. That's fantastic. Always great to have help. So anybody got any questions? You can come off mute. You can ask any questions at all. Good to see some of you. I haven't seen some of you. Lisa, I haven't seen you for ages. I can't see everybody's faces, but I can see the lovely Kelly over the road.
Actually, Mandy, I have a question.
Yes.
In lots of recipes for, say, curries or bolognese or whatever, it would say to put the meat in the basket, I guess, so it wouldn't get shredded. Would it be a good idea? Well, you know, instead of doing that, could I just use the blade cover?
You could, as long as you've done all the chopping first.
Oh yeah, sure. But I mean,
Yeah.
you know, whilst it's cooking,
Yeah.
like I like those skinny mix butter chicken recipes and
Yeah.
so on.
I don't see why not. And Pearl said she uses it in curries, don't you, Pearl?
Yes, I do. Yes,
Yeah.
do a lot.
Yeah.
It just needs to be enough liquid in the bowl too, though, Mandy. So because there's no movement, you're not getting that distribution of, I guess, of heat.
Right.
It's a little bit different. So there's no liquid or insufficient liquid to kind of cover the ingredients, not really getting as even a cook. So it kind of depends what's in there. Good example would be, say, the chicken curry that we do. I've forgotten the recipe now.
Creamy coconut chicken curry.
Yeah, creamy coconut chicken curry. So instead of cutting don't cut the thigh fillets into like 8 or 10 pieces, just cut them into, say, 6 or even 4, depending on how big they are, and you won't have any issues. I also think where the recipe, just slow it down. If the recipe is turning it on, say, speed 1.5, even if you just turn it down to, to half speed or even 1, you're not going to get that shredding happening. There's some recipes for things like chunky bolognese sauce, which, if you've used a really fine mince, you're going to end up with mince soup. So there are recipes that we've got on there now to try and, I guess, help people that don't have a TM6 or don't have the blade cover, to try and still achieve some of those results that you would get traditionally by not having that continual stir in your recipes. So definitely worth touching base with your consultant, getting some tips. These classes are great for those sort of questions, so we can try and help you along. But if you're going to use the blade cover as a substitute in some of those recipes, just make sure there's sufficient liquid at some point. Otherwise, just at least go through all of that browning process, caramelization process.
Okay.
The other thing is, I should have mentioned this, it actually does say on the blade cover maximum speed 1 when the blade cover is in. Yeah. So does somebody want the poached egg recipe again?
Yeah.
All right.
Someone's asking about are you talking about someone's asking about the tile? Are we referring to the sliding boards? Is that what
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. You can, Thermomix doesn't recommend them. There are definitely lots available. I use one, Mandy uses one. I think the rules don't change regardless of whether or not you use one. Don't walk away from your Thermomix when you're doing dough, so that if it is vibrating, then it doesn't bounce off your bench top. Certainly the slide board makes it easier to move your food, move your Thermomix back and forth. I use it actually behind me when I'm cooking. Mum doesn't like some of the Thermomix food that I cook, some of the, I guess, Asian flavors she's not used to. So she likes me to cook under the range hood, but it's a gas cooktop. So I put the board on there and use the Thermomix on there to give me a nice stable surface. Certainly no issue, but it isn't something that Thermomix sells. They don't recommend them. They just want you to have your Thermomix on a flat bench, and do make sure you wipe it clean, wipe the feet clean regularly so it doesn't affect your scales. Back to you, Mandy. I'm with the eggs.
Yeah, no, I'm typing the recipe in, trying to.
Okay.
Actually, I think I have it, Mandy. Do you want me to just paste mine?
Oh, okay. That would be amazing. That would be really helpful.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions from anybody?
Oh, sorry. There should be gaps in between.
Perfect. Thank you, Boone.